right. Third time's a charm on the Eclipse, 1:17 a.m. It's me, Suze, with Sophia's Emporium. Boy, we were having a good start to the show a couple times. I'm over here on Facebook with Mr. Computer Head. He might have got a little jealous because Thor News was getting all the props. And then we had some Elvis conversation. And yeah, we lost the ability to show images. So we shut it down. And now I'm just waiting for my friends to come back. But don't get me wrong, we'll keep moving on. And I'll tell you a little bit about what's going on with some pictures. That might be the best thing to do while you guys are waiting. Let's see if you guys saw this last night. I'll roll this for a couple minutes. Or you know what? You probably saw that. This is the better one. Does it roll from here? Is anybody here yet? I'm still waiting on friends. Well, did you guys know that I won a copyright battle with Facebook last night? I'm telling you what, that was pretty cool. I mean, seriously? And you know, when you think about it, really, how long would it take you to actually type out information that you would be asked to fill out in a legal document? So I did it publicly, and it worked wonderfully. I'm trying to find it for you right now. This is a lot of fun. I've enjoyed my new Elvis group called Welcome to My World of Music. It's a private group. You can join if you like. Let's see. Nope, I can't do that after everything we've been through. Sorry, Brother Peter. Bless your heart, though. Do, 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 do. Just let the energy just chill out, Suze. Hey, let's go see Bear for a minute. He did a nice little video, and he won't mind if I let everybody know what Medicine Bear's doing.
This bear.
Oh, let
Most
me
of you know
fix
me
that
as
bear.
Bear White Coat.
Hang on.
Yeah, just a quick little short, a little bit rundown today. A lot of running around, but I wanted to touch on a few things just for
Where'd
a
you
minute or
go?
two. And
There you are.
basically, just wanted to say, wish all my friends, family, those I love and care about, the best of everything in the coming year. We've got a lot of challenges that we're all going to be facing here fairly soon, and as far as where things are at with the medicine lodge, I wanted to touch base real briefly and very shortly because there's going to be a lot more that I'm going to be doing on this kind of thing. Uh, Transitioning, obviously I still use Facebook for putting out information that I come across I think is pertinent. I get a lot of flack for the attitude that comes across, but honestly, I fully believe in a live and let live type of thing. You go live your life the way you want. Let me live my life the way I want, and best of luck to you. And as long as you're not doing harm to yourself or anybody else, go for it. I think that one of the things that's coming to light that we're probably going to wind up doing is transitioning this year from stick and brick to RV. And there's several reasons for that. And I'll get into that as time progresses and we get closer to it and we start reaching those goals. But thought I would start touching base on those vehicles and the reasoning behind why we want to do this and what we're looking forward to and what we've seen in the vision. And basically, what it comes down to is really trying to live a minimalist lifestyle, which is have less junk and more of enjoying what life's about and spending time with those that you love and care about and going out and seeing the world and doing things and being a part of. And in our case, it's also twofold. We want to do all of that and have the freedom to come and go where we want, when we want. But we also want to take the medicine lodge from a stationary position where people from around the country that I deal with and all over the world that I've been dealing with for the last 20 years have to sometimes drive thousands of miles or fly thousands of miles just to come for weekend events or week-long events or seminars or anything that we're doing, and it's not really conducive. And we got to thinking, how could we take this to a whole different level? How can we do something that's very unique with passing on the traditions in the medicine? Well, one of those ways is heading out on the road and taking it to where it's asked to be at. We plan in the near future a trip down, spending some time in the Texas area, obviously Pennsylvania, where family is at, and setting up shop basically for a few weeks at a time, doing seminars, doing sweat lodges, teaching, being out in the environment, and uh, leaving less of a footprint as we go, and hopefully leaving the areas that we go into in better condition than how we found it, and hopefully planting some seeds along the way for spirituality and what it's all about. Um, and as I'm seeing right now, because apparently I've got a few people are popping in on this live stream, and I'm not going to be here very long, guys. But Ashley, Stacy, all of you out there, thank you. And Stacy, no worries. You can count on New Orleans. It's definitely being one of the places that we plan on staying for at least 14 days to a month. Um, and we basically, what we want to do is we want to travel around and get things set up so
Welcome.
that the
Is that
teachings
you, Fifth World?
I teach teachers. So my goal is to teach others to do what I do, and with full expectation and hope that they will do what I do differently, better, more extensively, or they may decide that they're really passionate about certain things that are spiritual and they want to focus all their intent on developing those techniques of working with the medicine wheel, working with crystals, how to work with the sweat lodge. Why do we use the sweat lodge? What's the medicine type?
I've
How
never
to
been to
use
the
the
Sweat
medicine type.
Lodge. Another thing I've never
And
done.
just everything spiritual from the perspective of a very eclectic Native American, Celtic, Druidic background, and incorporating all those things, um, and how we can pass those things along. So that's kind of where things are going and heading. The lodge is going to become a mobile lodge where we're going to be traveling the country and bringing the medicine everywhere we go. And that's really what our goal is to live a more minimalistic lifestyle so we have less of an impact. Get rid of obviously, um, an environment that we don't really utilize fully, and such as a stick and brick. I mean, I currently own and live in North Las Vegas and have a really nice home in a really nice track
It's
area
our
and a
friend,
nice
Medicine
neighborhood.
Bear White Bow.
All of that, which is great, but and it's nice to have that security of a stick and brick, but it also has some restrictions and some downfalls to it. And for me and my family, what we're looking to do is to remove some of those obstacles that keep us stagnant and keep us moving in a more forward flowing way, and being more like a hollow bone and a river, like a river, and just flowing and letting things go. Um, Big Yellow House would love to have you part that. Suze, I love you, sis. I'm going to take you guys. Guarantee you, I'm going to take you all up on those offers that you're making. And I want to spend time with all of you and learn from you and have you learn from me and pass it on. And that's what it's all about. The medicine does no good if it's all kept in a little bottle. So I want to uncork that bottle this year completely and totally and open it up. I'm working on putting together an apprenticeship program for probably a 9 to 10 month study for probably 1 or 2 students at a time. That way I can put all my energy and focus into that and answer questions and work one on one or two on one or whatever the case may be. But start off small and work up from there. But more importantly, this is more like just kind of an intro, so you out there have some ideas to what it is that we're planning, what we're planning on doing, and get ready because we're coming. And this is not about dealing with the political stuff or the MK Ultra stuff or any
Won't that be
other
nice?
stuff. We're all been inundated over and above with all of this kind of stuff. The deep state, the secret space program, CERN, all the garbage that's going on. Um, and get back to things that, at least for me, that resonate and make me feel um, like a whole person. Like I'm actually doing something that's contributing to being part of the solution instead of just being part of the problem. And part of that for us is obviously going to require that we're going to have to make some sacrifices, and some of those sacrifices are going to be downsizing and moving into an environment where our home is going to be on the road, and our home's going to go with us. And there's obvious pitfalls are going to come with that, you know, with a lot more maintenance, a lot more upkeep, things breaking down, things not always going according to plan. But you have that same problem in stick and brick too. Water heaters go out, electric
Problems
garages
no
break,
matter which way we choose.
dishwashers break,
Each has an individual path.
all those kinds of things. I mean, you still have all those same types of issues. And the beauty for me is no longer having a 9 to 5, which I never really had a 9 to 5 job. Let's be honest, I spent
Fuck
20
no.
plus years in the military, so I never really worked a 9 to 5 in my life. Um, but now that I have the opportunity to do other things that I'm passionate about rather than just worrying about making the almighty paycheck, that's where things are going. And I just want to say, love you guys, and I wish you guys all the best this coming year. Take it easy on yourselves, take it easy on each other, and don't let yourself get diverted by the diversions that are going on in our society currently. Blessings to all of you, and I look forward to doing more updates as soon as we get further down the road and we have a better idea as to how we're going to make this happen. Until then, aloha.
Alright. So I'm glad you guys are back. Let's get back to the Facebook action and go right to the picture, because I know Fifth World is here. I'm not going to ask again. Look at this, girl. Oh, it was 2014, not 2015. And you can see, let me get my pointer. I'll get myself balanced. Now here, of course, is the bigger one. And you see that orb shape, which I would have to call a football. And we have the center energy source. And you can see its trajectory is going towards the angel. When I look at it, I see 3 little filaments out the back. But of course, I'm looking at it from here. Now, someone just took off, and you wouldn't think that that's when they would choose to. So we'll see if we have any troubles with the screen, or any hubbub happen, or any monkey business. And it's 1:32 a.m., because this is our 3rd time. Now, here we have that smaller baby one right to the left of it. And that's what I was speaking about with Fifth World. So, let me take you to Fifth World's beautiful post from earlier on today. Usually, I start at the bottom and we do it in a time, kind of a placement, where we look from the beginning of the day. But considering how wild this day has been, I don't feel that necessary. And this is Fifth World. So, Dana brings up the egg as an awesome one. And so, to me, that's the shape that we're referring to. But they're just such beautiful images. And people share this with Fifth World. And then she creates, I would call it artistic, educational pieces, because you really do get a lot of information. But when I saw this image, it reminded me of that trajectory. So you can see that this is going this away. And Fifth World says, hey, my sky's 5D. I hear you mentioned and promoted all through the power of 8 at 8 or unbiased and on the fence. Way to go, brother. Here again, another beautiful image. And you can find the Fifth World on YouTube. Lovely people. See the other next image. A lot of people can see things right in front of their face and they still don't believe. So, going back to what we were speaking about when we were interrupted in the earlier streams, if they're trying to hide the skies so we don't see this energy as we're ascending into it, the reason would be, and they cited this in the footage I was talking about from San Francisco, that if you have prior knowledge to these events happening, how do you keep your slaves busy and working? And that is kind of a BFD when you're gonna reset. And it's very possible that absolutely these resets coincide with the celestial calendar. And this was her premiere. I thought that was nice, so I took a screenshot of that as well. And of course, there's been many, you know, this poor disclosure community has been put through so much and so much mockery. But for everybody to understand that there's always been unidentified flying objects, it's a whole other conversation as to who's driving the vehicle. And depending on what you resonate is what you would feel is driving a vehicle, because this is how it works. And we vibrate and come into frequencies together. And we're all part of an extended family. I mean, I think it's tough too, because if we consider the idea that we're all one, then we consider that everyone is equal. But like I was saying to my son earlier, that's not true. And the reason it isn't is because it is individually based on what that entity does with their opportunities. So if someone squanders 80% of their opportunities, why would that person feel that they should have an understanding of someone that squandered maybe 10%? And I know that creates a lot of animosity. But here again, to realize that the Creator is so benevolent to give people the opportunity to be healed of their collective trauma. And you say, well, why wouldn't anybody want that? Well, it's because in their imaginations, they realize that they would either be giving up or separated from the actual sources of the trauma. And if those are people they love, you can see why this gets a little squirrely. a lot of hurt feelings. And there's many people speaking the reality that we're going to wind up with two separate, parallel universes. Steiner talked about that too. It always made sense. Kind of like what we were talking about with flat Earth versus round Earth. Is there anyone out there that would even imagine, if they have any artistic or organic background, that each one of these dimensions would be the same distance and width? You know, it's not like a square, it's not the cube, it's not the Borg, and it's not the hive mind, but that's the fear. I would think that if you were out on the curvature of a landmass, that it would seem like there would be less space there. And so if I see that spatially and look at it like this, you could see where that mountain would come into effect that we were talking about. And we create our reality. And then with all these things that are happening that we know that are going on globally, there's old land having the mud fossil event happen as we speak. And then you've got the volcano action happening, which is creating the new land. I can't imagine civilization after civilization underneath each other. They're showing it. It makes absolute sense. But I would think that that would add to shape and dimension and form. It doesn't just magically go away. Matter is eternal. I like this comment earlier from the Fifth World's stream. My Skies 5D said getting DNA upgrades and activating our crystalline body structure, there's a transition process in Fifth World, says yes, God technology. And I have to tag it and say confirmation of spirit, I agree. Now, I want to bring in something that to me connects, that might be a little odd to hear. I have a friend that I really respect, and his name is Og Telez. Many of you know him. And if you consider that there's stories out there, whether it's through physical exercise or through different programs that may have not been nice, one of the things they did was put a lot of pressure on people's bones. And like for example, I had my shoulder be attacked and go out of socket, and they know about this behind the scenes. They saw me go down, and I know they know the pain that I felt, and watched me do it and the whole thing, because like I said, I always knew there were no secrets, and this collective isn't watching to do anything nefarious or creepy. People like that don't get into the group, as far as what I know. And if I'm wrong, I'm super screwed, huh? But anyhow, I have so much cracking that goes on in my neck. I've always had it in my jaw. And whether it's because of my background or because redheads allegedly have this mutation where we have TMJ and things, I've always heard myself crack. And I was thinking about that because for my tarot friends, I would think they'd be seeing the tower at this point and seeing that dopey castle, you know, the tower crash into the ground. And then when we're talking about crystalline body technology upgrades, and you think about the striations in a crystal, to me, that kind of equals that our mold is broken down and rebuilt. And that doesn't mean that you shouldn't stretch and, use your magnesium lotion. Do whatever you can. I mean, use it or lose it, right? And I was off of doing hairdressing for 8 days. And I'll tell you this, with all the action that happened, I was really grateful. Tomorrow I go back to normalcy and do some hair. Fortunately, these people have put up with my stuff for 35 years. And so we accept each other on a very unique way. One of my clients, she's not into none of this, and it's just best I don't talk to her about it. She's a dispatcher for the cops. She hates her job. She's never had a great love. She's never even had a companion. I can't imagine that. I mean, I'm not really wired like that. I would never be the kind of girl to go it alone. I would always have a partner. But um, my other client, it's a haircut. I mean, all I gotta do is play some good music and be cool, and it's 45 minutes. I try not to push these things on them, but I surely have in my own way. Hey, who's this Mia with the new pair of glasses? Because she's got some videos, and I was curious about that. I know I don't get to know everything that's going on, but I did want to acknowledge it and say here again, another beautiful image. Wait till you see the archangels that I have. Hi. Uh, my oldest daughter in 2006 photographed two grand archangels in the full moon back on 2006. Like I said, they're all in my photo galleries. It's just there's so much. We're still looking at your awesome pictures from the video. All right. And there we go. Hey, that wasn't your they weren't giving you shit, were they? Was that you, Fifth World? Yeah. Okay, so it was you. I can't help myself, and I'm not trying. Right? I can't help it, and I'm not trying to be your mama. You sound like a grown woman to me. Um, I'm a I'm a policeman's daughter. I'm a scribe's granddaughter, and I can't stand jackasses that mess with our groove. So when Vinny got all up on you, I didn't actually know what was going on at first, and somebody else's comment, what happened, LOL, what did they say about me now? No, 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 I don't think it was like that. It was like, okay. So Vinny was making the moves on you, girl. And he was saying that, I got it right here. Son, about your new apartment, never do that. There's creepers out here. So what he's telling you is that he is a creeper and he's flirting it with you, coming at you from a very caveman stance. And then he says there will be like 19 dudes breathing on your window. Well, that's because your image is one of a beautiful woman. So he's not really in the right chat. And I don't know how much he was making fun, but I think he was just doing a pit stop thing. I don't know, because then he laughs. And see, you did say something. You said yes, and I've been playing the diggeridoo. Thank you for that reminder. Love you guys. And then Vinny goes on to say, no way I've ever been able to figure out how to continuously breathe out, but I can play the bong pretty well. So he came into party, and, here again, there's nothing against that. But spirituality and the supernatural and supersensible worlds should never be treated like a joke. And I know people think I'm funny, and I know I'm funny and all that stuff, but I never made a mockery of the supernatural, and I don't make a mockery of jokes that offend people's backgrounds. And I think a lot of the time that's what it is. Yes, I have noticed that people have more respect than I thought they would, and less more comments and blocked than I know people have been surprisingly okay. Well, you know what? Your voice is very pleasing, and I do not have that pleasing voice. Hi, Jade. Welcome. It's you. Good. I'm glad you're here. You'll catch up. We had a couple hit and misses, but that's cool. All right, we covered that. Great. Okay. Now this Facebook thing about being horrible. Keep in mind that number one, the International Man of Mystery, the dude I call Mr. Computer Head, the guy that's in the lineage of Elvis or the Elvi, however you want to look at it, it's like I have to really be honest and very forceful, even with Joe, and explain. It doesn't matter. And I agreed to being able to deal with this. It does not matter if I'm dealing with the non-physical astral entity aspect of this being, or whether it will be my fate and destiny to meet a creature that would be in the same form I am. That means have a physical body. With everything I know to be true and sacred, even though this high technology represents all of us as avatars, they will be multiplied, just like what's talked about in spiritual workbooks, depending on the person. And so, the way I see a character like Elvis is if he's in a bloodline that's secret, that nobody knows about, and their family holds a key position, but back in those days when the church took things over and stole all the shit, now you're having to put yourself in King Arthur days, or Galahad, or Robin Hood. It's kind of like how I feel. Oops, happen to know that blasphemy of the Holy Spirit is one way to get cowards to run quickly. Do you think that it's okay to come up against people and claim her name and the Holy Spirit? Absolutely, I do. You should have seen what happened this morning. Let me give you this as confirmation of spirit and witness. I hope this doesn't sound too odd to our other friend in the room, but now I'm witnessing directly and gonna connect some dots. I've spoken about this. It was March or early April of 2017 when number one, who said he figured it out first, whizzed me around the computer and took me to all these global concerts and these beautiful coliseums. And see, the reason why they've treated me kindly is because I've never traveled in my life, and I've never had a vacation, and I've always been quarantined to this geographical location, and they know it. And I've appreciated seeing everything online. So if I never got to travel to those real places or they were destroyed, I would still carry them into eternity with me because they've been ingrained in my soul. Um, Earlier, when the Elvis movie Blue Hawaii was on, Joe was saying, well, that's the North Beach or the North Shore. And oh, look, that hotel there wasn't, completely built. And it's like, you know what? No, I don't know the North Shore. I've never been anywhere, you know? And people that travel take that for granted, just like people that have education handed to them take that for granted, or people that grow up in nice homes take that for granted. I used to think that if someone had a normal, clean house and ate at a dinner table together, that they were normal. That's because when things look so abnormal and people judge you on them, that the first thing you do is seek to look and appear normal to others. I mean, in my experience, that's what I did. And it gave me the courage to speak as a young girl. Now, look at the. Oh, I didn't tell the story. Ooh. Okay, sorry. Well, anyhow, that night with the concerts, the first one, when things popped in, because there was a lot before it, like those Celtic ladies and all these different grand things. But where it got really real, instead of like a fairy tale, would be when all of a sudden Indy Irie, who I absolutely love, her CD is flashing on the screen and it's the brown CD and it starts playing, like the music. And then all of a sudden, there was Indy Irie and Lauryn Hill and some other beautiful brown goddess chicks, all in these white outfits. And they were all singing and having a party on the flippin' beach. I'm serious. And there was another circle. Okay, so if you got the main gals and they got like some trees that are laying flat that they're sitting on, like you're hanging out together. There was a big circle behind them, and it was a mixed group of people. And the men were singing to the women, and it was this big grand party, and they were saying that from now on, it's going to be balanced between us. And, I always expect things to be like immediately because this has all been so tangible. This isn't a dream. This is actually manifestation in progress. And so, I'm watching all this beauty out on this beach, and here's what they did. She looked right into the camera like this, for real. And she said that by the morning I would be in heaven. Now, going through all this my whole life, I always knew that there wasn't anybody that could save me from the scary monster. I mean, I always knew that the divine creator was, carrying me like in that poster with the footprints. But I'm talking about hollering out to somebody or like having your best friend or your partner or something that would, help defend you. But the point I was trying to make is if we back up on the timeline a little before that, when we first came to Ferguson and I lived in the magical building at 25 South Florissant where the Scarab appeared. That's where I started hearing the music of the spheres, like a concert in my head in the middle of doing the thing we do known as sleeping. And what I didn't know about that process was that if I stopped to focus on any one aspect of it, that it would stop. Oh, I knew that. So I learned how to not do that. Thus, when Indy Irie looked at me and said that, the human side of my mind was saying, you know, you are not to go upstairs and say goodbye to Joe or Ian. Because you realize, first off, that would have been lacking faith. I would have only done that because I was hanging on to something and it was time to let go. And I've been through all 5 exit points and the near-death experiences. I was in a car and carried over an accident and an explosion when we first got here too. Ferguson's a very mystical place. Very interesting. And of course, like I said, I knew. Alright, so I didn't do anything. Yeah, it's been incredible. It really has. I've been blessed by it. I'm glad the hassle part seems to be kicking down, like what you confirmed spirit of earlier. And these forces are out of energy and they're out of food. They have no master. Number one's already taken over. I keep trying to tell people his truth is going to march on, and nobody has a say or a vote. And you really have to trust at this point that a maestro that could put all this together and bring us all together can't be all that bad. And that's why I say, don't tell me it's the same boss as the last boss, because if so, I mean, they're just gonna do to me what I feared in the dreams as a child, which was have me go through that black door and put me down. I used to be afraid it was a shot, you know, like putting a dog to sleep, you know what I mean? Or George Orwell, or something like that. Doesn't matter how, does it? It's somebody that would take that last bit of your life force. And so I experienced that way more as a young child than I have as a grown-up. I'm aware of it the way I've given it as a grown-up. And then, as I quit giving it to people over the years, you could see where they would get hungry for it and maybe get a little upset with me. And so I think that's why people don't like relationships that change. Confirmation of spirit. Now, let me blow your mind, girl. In this video that you brought up, we have an image from old, ancient alchemy books, because I have them. And so we see these two, what I'm going to call rings. Let's see what the words, oh, and that ding-dong Vinny's doing his nonsense. But, hey, did you notice he doesn't have any subscribers? Did you see that part? I know you did. 0 subscribers. And he only had 3 playlists, which is fine. He's really into music. And he's into beats. I think that this noise warfare, whether it's the white noise or the drone music, or just simply the mind control they did with 430 hertz versus 432, to me, and I didn't check any of his music out, but I would expect that that's what you would find. Then he's got Car, and this is all about hot girls. So if you notice, she's dark skinned and dark haired. And if you look at your avatar, you're dark haired and your skin is in the same color palette. He might have a fetish. Car 2, updated 4 days ago. Here's where he gets into the alien shit. So, see, he's looking at you like his alien princess queen or something. You know, like from me looking at those three playlists and giving an intuitive read on a shill, this would be a person that's lost. And the thing you need to be careful of, because even though you sound grown to me by your voice, you look younger. So, if you're going to do the work of any kind of counseling or healing or energy work, you have to be very selective who you choose to work with. And who knows what any of our jobs are going to be in the future, but I promise you, you won't have to deal with people like this. And that's why we need to clean up the internet. And back to this. Okay, so let me show you. I gotta turn my light on or I won't have enough light. I did so much happy crying and so much laughing and so little sleeping, and my eyes are so roached. But I want you to look at my ring. Hang on. Okay, so. Do you see the crust on top of that ring? He used to comment months ago, he's always been appropriate, I think. You know what? He can't touch you. He's not in your class. It's just a fantasy. It's just, okay, look, don't take it personal, it's just a video game. You're just a girl in a video game. And that doesn't take away anything from your character. It just is my read on what happened in your live stream. And as you bring more and more forward, somebody like him, I would think, should just leave the building. Especially when number one gets to getting. Can you see this ring? It reminds me of this ring, like it's supposed to be in that picture. Okay. Let's go down and do it in a timeline so my brain can click in, because I'm blissful. Okay. There's a lot of, oh, okay, so our friend that was here on the second live stream, I think his name was Jude or something like that. Right. He asked a question about Chappelle. We talked about the brother, we talked about the doppelgangers, the fake and the death, so on and so forth. So, if we ever meet up with him again, this made me say confirmation of spirit phenomenon progress. So, this is from, and I don't share things and get involved in things that aren't people that were on my radar and that we are friends. So, this is Robert Phoenix from 11th House Astrology, and I love Robert. He does a lot of current events with his astrology, which he's more practical left brain but he's got the intuitive too, and he, yeah, exactly, exactly. They can't help it. Um, talking about this thing, Robert says the resemblance of Anthony Bourdain and Leonard Cohen has been tugging at me for a while. Bourdain's mother was an editor for the New York Times, and his father became an executive at Columbia Records. Columbia was Cohen's label. Cohen was 22 when Bourdain was born in 56. And in parentheses it says new edition. Ann Diamond just added that Leonard Cohen attended Columbia University in 1955, and he says, thanks, Ann. You know, I think in the Elvis story we have what they call the bastard son, of course. And all of these artists and performers had to hide their kids during this Cold War shit and mind control stuff. I promise you that. And that's why they're a little edgy. Um, oh God, we didn't mention Thor News. Okay, so Mr. Scorpio needs lots of attention tonight and whatever, but you can see where these men, even though they're supposed to be warriors, there is a time in their lives where they need to be protected and cocooned. And I'm telling you, I thought that we had wrapped all this up from the story about the next morning when the sun came up, I'd be in heaven. And I was still here. And I knew it. And that's why I have been telling people, no matter what heat I take, that I have been walking in both realms since that time. And somehow that connects back to what's going on right now, because it's the second time I've seen it. They're everywhere. But that doesn't mean that they're robots or clones. And so all these, see, this drives me nuts, okay? The idea of whether people can discern if they their own self, because their Akasha will be revealed to them direct. So, poof. Do you want your collective trauma healed? Yes or no? And you have this expansion hit. Well, if this person accepts this, and then even with their language, they refer back to the way it was. You know what I mean? And it's kind of like, to me, one of those things right now. So, the families, as this is happening, it seems like is really a huge deal. Somebody dropped a clue on, say, like what family I might file into the other day, and it's like, you know what, man, we are not our family's past collective traumas, but like Bruce Lipton talks about, the biology of belief is real, and we're not these physical shells. And so back to our bones cracking or whatever's going on, as this progression happens. Maybe it's like wing makers said, and we're cracking the shells from the inside, because everything's upside down and backwards. You can't crack somebody's shell from the outside, it wouldn't be prepared. So yeah, these two look pretty much. And why wouldn't you be, You know what used to be normal was more families than not had a strong family resemblance. But these days, it's not like that anymore, and there's a reason. Hey, you want your kid not to have that big family hook nose? Okay, get down the stream. I don't know if you guys know silly or not, but we'll talk about that, and I'll try to explain a little bit more of our expanding family of players. Okay, this is that footage that I was talking about. I'm really glad you brought that up because you reminded me what the hell I was supposed to talk about. Okay, I got done with my live stream about 3 in the morning. And it's just like when they suggest to you guys stuff, you know? They just take my screen. And there was a Elvis movie on last night. And then on YouTube came one of those Bob Joyce sermons, and I like Bob Joyce. You know, like people want to fight and wonder if that's Elvis or if that's his twin Jesse, but I'm telling you, none of these dudes would age like that because they're not your average people, kind of like me. I might be broken down and I might have been poisoned. But for a 55-year-old woman, I do all right. I can hold my own, you know? There's a lot of people that are half my age that aren't in, you know, this condition, but I've limited my poisons as my aging processes continued, and oh my gosh. Like I said, you keep a couple poisons and people want to rag you out for those. The punchline to this is this entity steps forward. They told me 2 years ago that I need to be really comfortable with accepting myself as I am because they see it from the inside out and everything. And that starts to sound a little creepy. We'll be will be perfected as this goes along, and it's already happening. So, I listened to Bob Joyce. And then, yesterday, it was concert day. And they were having all these, they call them watch parties here on Facebook. You know, I figured out what that means. Just like tonight with Thor. And more, as we're developing our connections, you guys are having two-way video communication with me. They know it. I know it. And there's third-party evaluation, and it's pretty funny sometimes. And other times it's pretty serious. And there were bets made on it all, and that's why people are scared. Because if all this is irrelevant and give Caesar what's due to Caesar, but oh, in the meantime, Caesar stole everything from you and your family, and so on and so forth. Well, I'm not trying to be like this, but this Jesus people speak of that's to come, you know, it's not sitting on a cloud with a harp. It's more like, it's not a mean sword, but it's like the kind of thing that does separate the wheat from the chaff, or that could lay you down like with just a blare of the eyes. I mean, I know what I'm engaging in. So, anyhow, this watch party, and I can't pronounce the guy's name because it would be Pakistani, and he was having a watch party, and he had Bob Joyce's name in it. See, they study his style. And so here's this beautiful man and his wife and their cute kids, and all these beautiful brown people from countries that I hadn't heard of, and they're speaking in their own language. So, keep all that in mind. And they're speaking the English too, but there's a lot of action going on. And so the person calls in, and the little box comes up in front of the screen, and they're asking him to pray for their ministries. And I knew that they were coming to see the female side of this organic mind meld between these three human entities. And I know I'm one of them. And, it's like I was having to tell Joe today. I do not accept from anybody on any plane in any dimension the idea that I'm crazy. There's no way. And it's like I told Joe, too. This is something that people just say because it sounds not normal. Well, if somebody has been consistently speaking the same way their whole life and can prove it, I don't really think that's good for my spirit. I like to say it offends my spirit. It is not so. I refuse to believe it. I know what's on the line. And I have so much proof of this stuff. So, this whole thing's going on. I know they see me. I know I'm doing my thing. And it was very emotional. And then what was interesting was that India is very pivotal in this, okay? I have had 2 visits with my partner. The first one was over the summer, and all of a sudden, poof, I was there. And I was in a reception area that, like, to me, would have been an airport. I have no vision or sensation of, like, flying on an airplane. Nothing like that. Just poof, I'm there. And if you're in this vision and you put yourself in my spot, to the right, there's a countertop that would keep the people on one side from the people on the other, and say it'd be about this high. Well, I see him, and he's on the left. There's a couple people over here, and I said, am I here already? And he said, welcome to India. And I jumped up on that countertop. Like that. And he must have been pretty big because I wrapped my arms around. And he told me he loved me, and I told him I loved him. And I was off getting carried this away, and it was done. Okay, that's the one. Now, this morning, after this wild church thing, this guy. Okay, so this is funny. I don't even say nothing bad. And all of a sudden, I can't talk on the chat again. Kind of like in the story from last night. But I get it. I only get to make 3 comments, and then I guess they got enough or something. But the last thing he said to me was, he said, "You're blessed lady." And I know that. I already know. That's why I have to speak it into manifestation. If, it's always 2 or more gathered, and so when you manifest, you have to speak it out loud, you have to believe it, you have to have experience with it. That's alchemy. Well, last night, and this is terrible, and I gotta admit it, because if I admit it, I can move forward. I know how this game works. Even though you might look at me and go, like a lot of people look at me and they go, "She's really little." Or if you said, "Hey, Suze, what size do you wear?" And I'd say, well, a 6 or a 7. Man, I'm solid as a rock. Good luck to you picking me up. And they've made fun of me about that, and it has to do with gravity, and it has to do with the older you are, you shrink, and you get short and you get dense. Well, anyhow, I'm pretty old, and that's okay. It's all right. He picked me up and carried me all the way across this thing and up this flight of stairs. And the whole time, I'm like, okay, I'm cool, man. I don't have to feel guilty or bad about it. But you get what I'm saying. And then you go back to the whole thing about all of us are really dealing with this thing and having our heart weighed against a feather. So it really wouldn't matter if you're 100 pounds like the girls in the movies with the 19-inch waists. You see, it's not real. It was all made up. Everybody's okay. However this all shakes out, everybody's already accepted. But if you lie to yourself or you lie to your other half, there will be repercussions worse than any hell that you can ever imagine. I mean, that's how serious it is in my book. It doesn't have to be that way if you're not a live action role player. And now we're going back to that LARP stuff we talked about. Actors and musicians aren't hoaxers. These people have been secretly living out their real identities behind a bunch of masks. And what's really wild is I saw this video, and it's nuts. I'll show it to you because it's nuts. And I was used to SKMI showing me all these old men that I'm going to tell you are not Elvis. And then they showed Trump, and then they had like an old man image that was stretched out. And then they had a thin one that was in a pope's robe. And I'm watching this SKMI meld the fragmented pieces of his own existence back together. That's pretty wild. I wanted to show you guys something good. I want to show you how pretty this is. And I have no idea. Okay, because we have to look at our own timelines. In 1972, I would have been starting my 9th cycle. Because, you know, when you life chart, you don't start out at 0. This was something called Set of 6. And it was a Granada production that showcased a band from the world of modern music live in front of a studio audience. Pentangle's performance on the show includes a selection of songs from their 72 album, Solomon's Seal, which was the last release featuring the original lineup. To me, this gal is one of these people that knows she's immortal, you know, in and out of different bodies. She's got that Celtic thing, she's got that English thing, she's got all these times in her. Let me just play you a little bit. Turn this one up. Check the chat. Oh, they've been having parties all day. So they take this kind of stuff out of schools. Everything can be electronic. People don't know one thing from the other at this point. And then they bring back this kind of thing. What if all of a sudden on TV or internet, everything had a purpose, everything had a meaning? And that's what I thought of when I saw this presentation, that they would make a show out of it. And then if I add in the never-ending story and what I know is going on behind the scenes, it makes sense. Kind of like, I don't know if you saw last night or not, because I don't know where everybody is in the deal, but what else happened, and this is going to sound even more unusual than the last thing I said. Let me find him real quick. It sounds so silly. And it sounds like there's no way. Just like this story with Elvis. It just doesn't sound like it could be real. Right, it is. It's beautiful. Okay, so I got this video. Let me show it to you real quick. Let's just go the easy way because, like I said, I'm a little delirious. I gotta get to my little icon. This is funny. And I'll explain the story a little more than what I did last night. Because, like I said, it sounds wackadoo. Okay. Did you see this, Fifth World? This crazy thing? Well, anyhow.
I don't think this ever ends.
This is Robert Downey Jr.
Maybe it does. We'll see.
When the phenomena hit on 9/1/2014,
We should have sex now.
it wasn't a few weeks later
I like you.
then
Not even mad.
someone
I'm gonna try to share this one about I'm not even
that
mad.
represented Robert Downey Jr. asked me on the flippin' computer if I would go out with Robert Downey Jr. And I know that sounds stupid because he's married. It's all
H-I-G-H.
it doesn't make any damn sense. But see this God, this divine creator, this Elvi, whatever is going on. What Pastor Bob was talking about and what I agree with is that he will appear in the form that he chooses, depending on the form that lives within inside yourself.
Don't ask why.
And since we all that accept it have a spark of the divine, and this thing starts happening, which is this automatic DNA upgrade and the crystalline thing, and on and on and on. Here you got somebody that came from a traumatic background, is in the very kind of movies. No, what? Help me. You know you didn't see it? What are we talking about? Because like I said, I'm out to lunch a little bit. What are we talking about? No, help me. Help me, Fifth World. Robert Downey Jr.? I don't know what it is. Okay. Yeah, and I can't ask any questions. But let me put it to you this way. Here's the punchline on this. Why wouldn't I be able to go and log in to use these crazy avatars? Because that's what this is about. Here it is. Okay. So, I should just be able to put my name in, Suze Pratt, and my Gmail. Right, that's what I'm saying right here.
Oh, look, they let me sign up this time.
Right. But they don't let me join.
No,
And I did this
they
2
won't.
times. The
Looks like
process, I did it 2 times.
Now, they're messing with me. See how it's lit up yellow? Username, Suze Pratt. That's me. And it
I believe
says
this, Jamette.
only letters.
Cool, thank you for the confirmation. It's very helpful. I loved his dad. Do you remember Morton Downey? He used to have a show. He was such a shit disturber. I loved him.
Images.
But anyhow,
Aren't these all letters? Am I not playing the game right?
they would not let me sign up
What the fuck's going
to have these little memes, and I didn't want them. I'm not even into that. But I was going to share one just to say hi. And of course, this is what I keep trying to say too with this whole thing. Who would have ever imagined Willie Nelson had enough kids that if he sat Indian style and the kids put their heads closest to him, that it made a wagon wheel spoke where all of them touched and it went around? Or if I took you upstairs to the bathroom and showed you the model that looks exactly like Clint Eastwood that's in the 2010 menswear department modeling catalog, and he's the only one that doesn't have a name. You never know who your spiritual family is. And then bloodlines, you know, with tradition, if you're normal, you have 4 bloodlines at the least that all contribute to your DNA and your being and your nature and nurture and tradition and values. But in the end, usually one strong one gets picked from the man's side, same as the woman's side. And then when they come together in marriage, somebody has to feel guilty or give up the other side. And that's part of the problem, too. I've heard a lot about that, and this thing that we've been going through in these years of background checks and figuring all this out and having it all ready to go. It makes sense. I mean, otherwise, the revolt would be way worse than what some people are worried about. Yeah. Let me show you this one.
No,
Now,
I don't need to
here's
go through an hour of
here's what's fascinating, what's happened to me with number 1 over the last couple nights. For anybody that makes YouTube creator videos, you know, if you're working with Zoom, you would wind up with the 3 options for your, you know, what appears on your video, what people see as your cover. I was going to do all mine with just a simple Sophia's Emporium with the white and black. Number 1 changed it, not me. So, in this video, number 1 puts Bob Joyce directly on the cover of the YouTube. So, obviously he wanted it to happen. But I want to show you this Nutso Boingo video. And I mean, I spent a lot of time with SKMI. We spent every night together from midnight till 6 in the morning. He did not want to be alone. And I liked the nighttime, and we were, in my mind, doing these shows. And he had put all this evidence on my computer to do my, quote, report. I didn't ask him to do a daggum report. And then what did happen was I asked him to share a picture of Clint Eastwood as a young man in his 20s straddling a miniature horse. And I said, I'd love to share that because, like I said, I have his kid up in the bathroom in a picture. And when I saw young Clint Eastwood on the horse, it looked just like his kid, and that's what triggered my brain. That's how it happened. And the next thing I know, SKMI dumped hundreds of documents that other people sell for profit on my computer. So it was like, it was a way to check my integrity. You know, I mean, I could sell this bullshit and whore him out just like any other bitch, but I just wanted to be his friend. And, you know, I like being people's friends, for real. But watch this. So, this is SKMI's video, and I always know I'm welcome to play anything of his. We're familiar, no doubt. Don't ever forget that. I mean, come on. Are you kidding me? So, SKMI is who gave me the documents for my report. I'm gonna get some tea. I'll be right back. Or Google or Twitter or anybody's got any problem, well, now you know who to deal with. And hey, be gentle on him because he's got a hard story to tell. He done told it And I already told it to you guys. So, this guy needs to at least be given consideration because he's been working on it for years. More years than I have. And he's very emotional, even to a fault. And he knows it. But he knows I'm his friend. And I said 4 hours ago, number one wants his name shouted out. I'll tell y'all once he tells me. I don't know what name to shout out. Okay? SKMI told me once so long ago, no Adam. Adam's just a name. It could be called anything. You could call this stream Johnny Cash, it doesn't matter. And I have seen multiple channels and how they multiply. And like I told you, SKMI went from one guy to thousands of identities. Male, female, all different colors. That's how it works. Ask Cliff High about those bots. I mean, I've given plenty of indicators that this all makes relevant sense. But, let me show you. Okay, so he says no Adam, but here's what I'm telling you. Straight up, straight out. All roads lead to Adam Presley, and that's Mr. A.P. So if there's any name that I'm gonna shout out, that'd be the name I'd lean towards. And you can see how these images have been played with. And These that's are the okay. ones that are on TV now.
But that's not Elvis.
That's how far this is spread.
That's Adam jumping into a biometric.
Yep.
Adam is the bastard son of Elvis Presley. He has many fragmented pieces. Some know him as SKMI. Some know him as Michael. I know him as Adam. And Lord have mercy, there's more than one of them. He's got a twin. I need to know if the mind meld is between me and these twins. I mean, I had to ask Silly yesterday. Don't tell me you're the third fucking mind link. Pain in my ass. But they think they're funny. And it's been a lot of fun. And I do love these guys. It's my family somehow. I have
And
no
why
idea
wouldn't
yet.
why wouldn't we
I
all
wish
be
they
higher
were his
beings,
ass.
right?
Hey, you know Elvis's birthday is coming up.
Yeah.
International Man of Whoop-de-Doo.
Are we having a birthday party?
January the 8th, right? I'm still traumatized where I confuse the numbers. August 16th, 77 is when he allegedly passed. What's wrong with your nose? What's wrong with your nose? Allergies? SKMI said it was allergies. Hey, which Bob Joyce are you? Bob or Robert? Elvis Alive by Skutnik Michael.
And that one was the hockey player, not even
There's
Bob
the
or
blonde
Robert.
one with
3
the
of them.
long vampire teeth. alive. Cheers, Mr. Presley by Skutnik.
And he's not doing this to be mean. He's been
I don't
searching
think that
for
that's
years.
Elvis, by the way.
I mean, for
this
real.
guy.
It's true.
These are all images that hide the true man.
Yeah.
This
Just
is
like
how the
us.
government slices together faces. This image is not Elvis, it's the other one. There's generations of these guys. Fucking Highlanders.
That's how they knew me, my eyes and my voice. It's comforting. But you can see how much pent
Alright,
up
so a lot of people,
arguments.
you know, obviously believe Bob Joyce is Elvis in disguise. And that voice, they're okay, so this is Skutnik Michael. Hang on. Don't you leave, Skutnik. Okay. Alright, now,
He would hail from France.
let me try to paint you the picture that I was painted. There's some kind of a major legal battle. He is the bastard son. He does not have the name of the family.
This is the story he told me.
He has tried to get countless people all over the world to help him.
Asking
He
Trump for $1
is
million
sad.
cracked me up.
He is confused. He has lost a son himself.
Said Elvis shot him. I didn't mention that
This is Skutnik
last
Michael.
night. We'll layer.
But, for real, you could always tell that these images have been altered and are
He's an
photoshopped
artist.
as well. Remember, it's very complicated. It's not just as simple
See the
as
gematria
one
going on in the back?
kind of like the JFK assassination piece that we played yesterday. The technology is incredible,
Mm-hmm.
and they're turning it around. They're going to do good with it.
Yep.
Or I'm going to open up a can of whoop ass and spank a couple kids and put them in the corner or something. I don't know. But you can see he's kind of like a multi-dimensional character here, you see. And he's giving you codes in the back. Everything is for a reason. He hit me with all the numerology, gematria early on. We're going to say 2 twins that appear to be the same. He's divided into a trinity, as you can see. We have the white light here. Moves up. We see how that does. He's got his Charo outfit on here. And his Back to the Future outfit here.
That's going to connect to John Teeter and time travel
What the hell?
and the 73 concert, the satellite tour.
It looks like a... Oh, it's his computer, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. See?
Because the cord
Over here, real
goes
light.
up to the things that he puts
Right,
on
the
his
cord
ears,
goes
his
up.
headphones.
Goes to there.
But this is the fanciest fucking computer I ever seen. It looks like a magic book. Like out of Lord of the Rings or something, and I never watched that. But I've learned about it on the adventure, so what about this side? Maybe this is his skateboard or his magic mirror. I don't know what the fuck it is, Skutnik Michael, but
This isn't the weirdest. We're getting to the
pretty
Trump
smart
picture.
sometimes,
It's crazy.
and I didn't yell at you.
I still don't think he's got the shuffle right.
Beautiful man. This one does not have gray eyes. But Jesus did.
And these people from all over the world are seeing Bob Joyce as Elvis slash as Jesus, but I say Bob Joyce is a prophet. I don't believe Bob Joyce is
I told Joe
Elvis.
tonight, and I always tell him because nobody is going to say that I lied to that man. I haven't lied to nobody.
Mm-mm. Watch this shit.
Oh, jeez. Here we go with the voice comparison. But that is not Elvis. That's number one dicking around. Hang on.
And the one on the right is an alien. Watch the things come out of his head.
It's in Spanish or
Let
something.
me get myself out of the way.
Look at him smiling.
Look at this one. Look at this one. The dents.
Look at the shit on this alien's head over here.
Did you see that?
Where'd you go, number one?
Sound like a bunch of hyenas. They're funny. And why wouldn't God be funny?
You guys are fucking with me right now, and nobody's gonna believe me. But I'm gonna say it right out loud. Y'all are singing like a bunch of hellcats. Earlier, it didn't sound like that.
It really didn't.
I got no tacos.
Where's Trump when you
guys
need
are
him?
ate up like a fucking...
Alright, now hang on. This, look at, I put you through that, and that wasn't even the Trump one. Watch. Look at this. We'll just look. It's too much to bear sometimes, but we're gonna bring it up. This is SKMI. Which one is it? I mean, you guys can come anytime you want and watch this. Now, let's go back to the allergies. A lot of you guys know that I have the gift of remote viewing parasites on skin. Probably just because of my hairdresser background.
You have your Bibles with you.
Okay, this is the sermon I listened to last night. Here it is, here it is. Okay, so let's look at this last couple minutes. But here's what I needed to say. This doppelganger that really wasn't Elvis, he was the one that was spellcast on the most. I could see the parasites on his skin, and you know, your sweat that comes out of you purges toxins, and so that one sweated a lot when he sang, and he's the one they tease that forgot the words. But if we all got hit on the head and got amnesia like what Courtney Brown talks about, you know, in the War of the Heavens, these guys don't remember what happened, and they were pretty angry, involved in war and soldier things and conquest and all this crap. So this parasite, this mind virus, And the spell casting on the glass is their refusal to look and see the truth. Where a woman, they say, doesn't really do that. We're not as easily able to look away.
My blood cleanses you from all sin. Hallelujah.
Watch this.
My tendency is to always ask him, Lord, please forgive me. Please forgive me. The Lord forgave me from the cross. He said, if you believe in me and you trust me and have confidence in who I am and what I've done for you, then my blood cleanses you from all sin. You're already forgiven. If you don't believe that, you're still in your sins.
They always show the chicken pox scar over the eye.
You're cleansed from your sins.
Always goes back to
Don't hide
this.
your guilt if you've done something wrong. Come to God and confess it, and his forgiveness is there for you already. It's there. Amen? Do you believe that this morning? Yes. So God gives us great confidence through Christ. Father, I thank you this morning that you have showed us the way to live, to come to you as you are.
That's the
in
one
all
they
that you
called
are,
Jesse,
believing in you and trusting in you,
350.
to receive from you,
Look at this.
knowing, God, that you hear our prayer.
That's photoshopped.
and
This is,
answer.
this is the one that I'm gonna say is the boss of the round table. He's hairier. He's wilder. Sometimes I call him Hell Beast.
And we have great confidence to know that if you hear us,
Look at,
know that you do.
alright, look at this tripped out, fucked up, ate up picture. Okay, so here we have Trump with the USA hat, and then we see this dude, which, whatever. Then, what we see under here is it says the word fond, and it's a media image that he pulled from somewhere. And of course it's the Elvis outfit, but he's implying it's Trump. And so I have told a few people that some people connect Trump and Elvis as being the same entity, and here again I disagree. But it's the mix of confusion that prevails. It's the weirdest picture I've ever seen.
Because you said you would. You said that you would listen. You said that you hear every prayer. You hear the cries of your
There's the
people. You hear
parasites
those
I
that
referred
beseech
to.
You,
Right here.
Your eyes, your ears, your heart is turned toward those who are seeking you.
Look at the energy on the screen.
Lord, you told us if we sought you,
It's
we would
chaotic.
find you. And we believe that. Hallelujah. And you'll give us great, great confidence in that.
Why the red face?
Thank you, Father. God, I pray
And
now,
who's
Lord,
this
for
in the
every heart
crystal
that's here, every
ball?
believer,
Who is this?
that as they pray, that they will remember your words and have great confidence and trust in you and believe what you said.
The
Lord,
energy
they ask
around
whatever
Trump
they need.
here is so chaotic.
They ask of you, God, that they will have it. Great confidence.
Alright, this is the image I want to end tonight on. Because this isn't Elvis. He's not even wearing the EP shades. It's a long story. This woman was the top rated Priscilla impersonator in the UK. There is no way in hell this is Elvis at 83 years. And this is where Skutnik Michael still sees this impure image of who we would consider the father, which would be Elvis, to be. This is Hellbeast. This is the angry one. He matches this one, and then there's fake Priscilla. Absolutely wild. And it's 3:02 a.m. And that's enough for tonight. So, of course, every day we'll take another step in the journey. And I appreciate everyone being here and having an open mind, because in order to bring the entire globe together and not have a religion or a dogmatic background, and for something to not be considered CULT. These are big things we're dealing with here. And like I said, all we can do is accept it and come honestly before this very intense, powerful, loving entity that I know is number one. Alright, guys. Peace, love, and light from the Big Yellow House on the third cosmic ray. And just to jump back and add one more thing, that nice Pakistani preacher man said that I'd have many conversations today with God. And it is so. Bye, guys.